Hey everyone, and welcome to another box office report. Today I'm going to be talking about the first weekend receipts for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, as well as some potential trouble for Black Adam moving forward. Before I get into that, two things. One, I apologize for my voice in advance. It's going to be a struggle getting through this video. I'm dealing with a sore throat right now, but I'm making it work. Second thing is, if you like this video, please consider subscribing. I know quite a few of you have actually subscribed recently to the channel, so welcome aboard. But if you're not subscribed, please consider it today. It helps the channel grow a lot. Alright, so now with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get into the results for this week's box office. And I want to start off by showing the top 5 here. So at number 1, of course, we had Black Panther Wakanda Forever at $180 million over the weekend. At number 2, we had Black Adam with $8.6 million. Number 3 was Ticket to Paradise at $6.1 million. Number 4 was actually Lyle Lyle Crocodile at $3.2 million in its 6th week. And then in its 7th week, Smile at $2.3 million. Plenty to talk about there. I'm not going to go in depth on some of these, but some quick hitters here is, how about Lyle Lyle Crocodile jumping up to number 4? That's kind of crazy. I thought that movie was done for. Still, it's not making a lot of money, but it only dropped 5% weekend over weekend. So at the very least, it's benefiting from not having too many other movies in the theater, at least movies that are geared more towards kids. And then, man, Smile just keeps killing it. This has to be the biggest box office win of the year so far. I mean, there are going to be movies that make $1 billion, but looking at what this movie invested versus what they got out is absolutely insane. Smile only cost $17 million to make, and now they have made $210 million at the worldwide box office. I mean, whew, what a hit. Then also Ticket to Paradise, staying in there in the top 3. It's not making a ton of money, but it's doing really well for a romantic comedy at the movie theater right now, especially one more geared by its stars, or should I say more driven by the stars that are in it. The very last thing I wanted to highlight here before I get into the main topics of the video is the 84% drop for the new anime film One Piece Film Red. This movie had a really good first weekend, but it dropped 84% in its second. So what that tells me is that everyone that wanted to go see this movie went and saw it last weekend. And anyone who may have been on the fence didn't go to the theaters. So it's interesting, right? After last week, I was looking at the box office report saying, oh wow, like the anime movies keep doing better and better in this box office. This film absolutely killed it. Maybe we can expect more. However, here in the second weekend, seeing it drop 84%, which is terrible, you guys. Seeing it dropped 84% and the movie is well received, from what I understand, is not great. It had a huge pop in its first weekend, but now it's just dying down in its second. So I don't know what this means for anime films being released in the United States here in the future, but there's good and bad to be found with this film. Maybe it's a matter of getting all the good word of mouth out to audiences that maybe aren't interested in seeing an animated film in the theaters, because it had good reception and it had a lot of people go see it. Now you just need to convince the rest of the audience that doesn't know what the heck this is to actually pay money to go watch it in a theater. But those are just a couple of quick thoughts on films that are on this report. Now let's get into the real meat and potatoes here. Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever broke the November box office record in a weekend at $180 million, absolutely killing the previous record. Previously, the highest grossing film in a weekend in November was The Hunger Games: Catching Fire in 2013 that grossed $160 million. $20 million doesn't really seem like a whole lot whenever you're dealing with movies that could make $100 million, $200 million, but the fact that this record hadn't been broken in 9 years says a lot right there. We've had plenty of films come out in November since 2013, but none were able to surpass what Catching Fire did until now. It should be said that the original Black Panther actually grossed more than this in its opening weekend. It grossed, I believe, a little bit over $200 million. However, I still think that this is a win for the studio because they had a lot working against them. I mean, they lost their lead actor here. They had to find a way to market this movie out to people who maybe weren't aware of Chadwick Boseman's passing. I know that it seems like a lot of people who may be watching this video understand that and it's old news, but think about it. There are plenty of people out there, I'm sure, who didn't know that Black Panther as we knew him was not going to be in this film, and the studio decided not to recast him, so they had to market a movie out there that didn't have Black Panther in it for like 80% of the movie. And Wakanda Forever is clocking in at just south of 3 hours. So if you just compare that with a movie like Black Adam was around 2 hours, I believe. It's simple math, you guys. If your movie is shorter, you can pack in more showtimes in a given day. Wakanda Forever had fewer availability for showtimes, and it still made $180 million. Now, granted, this movie is on every single screen in the country that you can imagine, so it had no trouble getting onto screens, but each individual movie theater couldn't show it as many times as they would have liked. So there's a lot to love here. Wakanda Forever breaking the weekend box office record for November at $180 million one weekend, and right now it's at $330 million worldwide. It's well on its way to making a profit. The question is, what is it going to do next weekend? Because it seems like I am similar to many other people right now who have seen the film, that it wasn't as good as the first one, but in my opinion, it was fine. I know a lot of people are really high on this movie. A lot of people think that it's pretty good. I still need to figure out what exactly I feel about this movie. I think I might need to go see it a second time. I will be posting a review for it. Again, I'm just dealing with throat stuff right now, so it's kind of hard for me to sit in front of a camera and talk for a while, but I will have a video up. However, back to the point. I'll be curious to see what the percentage drop weekend over weekend is, because ultimately this is just not as well received as the first Black Panther. Are people going to come back in its second weekend and bring their friends, bring their family? Only time will tell right now, but for the time being, Wakanda Forever is off to a great start. But now going from Wakanda Forever to Black Adam, I've previously been pretty high on this movie turning a profit, but now I'm not so sure. And that is due to this film potentially not being released in China. Now, this has been something that's been kind of whispered about over the last few weeks, so I haven't felt the need to sit down and include it in a video, because ultimately I thought it's going to get released in China. But now it's kind of uncertain if that's going to happen. Now, for those of you that don't know, China is very strict about what does and doesn't get released in its movie theaters. A lot of major motion pictures that have been huge in the United States have not actually seen a release over there. One of the examples recently is Top Gun Maverick. And just from reading all the different articles about this, it seems like two major reasons could be its use of magic with the character Dr. Fate, as well as the actor that plays Dr. Fate, Pierce Brosnan, having made a post about the Dalai Lama a couple of years ago. Now, I'm not going to get into the weeds of why China doesn't like that, but if you want to do your own research, you absolutely can. But the point here is that China was going to be the defining factor of will Black Adam make a profit or not. Because as of right now, Black Adam has made $351 million worldwide off of a production budget of $200 million. On the surface, that seems fantastic. Why would it not be profitable at this point? Well, let me tell you. The production budget that you see online does not include the marketing budget, which is typically about half of the production budget. There's no science to it, but that's generally what it is. So Black Adam costs $200 million to actually make. Marketing was probably around $100 million. That puts the film at $300. And then whenever you look at the actual receipts, you have to take out about a third of that because the theater's got to see a cut. So all in all, whenever you factor all of that into place, Black Adam needs to make probably around $450 million in order to be profitable for the studio. So as of right now, it's $100 million off of that. But if you release the film in China, or if you get approved for a release in China, Dwayne Johnson's films in the past have done very, very well over there. All you have to do is look at the last two Dwayne Johnson-led vehicles that were put into theaters over there. Skyscraper made almost $100 million, and Rampage made like $160 million just in China. That was more than what that movie made in North America. Dwayne Johnson is a huge, huge star, so there's no doubt doubt, in my mind at least, that this movie was going to be highly profitable over there. Heck, even Shazam made $43 million over there, and in a case like this, we don't have it down to a science, but $40 million, that could make or break this film. So, I don't know at this point. It seems like there's no definitive answer on this right now. It's a whole lot of rumors, but I figured that was worth talking about because this is a giant film that's made a lot of money, but it may not end up being profitable for the studio if not released in China. I'll know more in the coming weeks, but for now, it's TBD on Black Adam. But that's everything that I had for this week's box office report. Huge returns there for Wakanda Forever. I can't wait to see what it does in its second weekend. Black Adam, hopefully it gets a release in China that could end up making or breaking that film. But for now, it's doing its job over here in the States. In its third weekend at number 2 in the box office, that's really all you can ask for. It's not seeing a huge drop weekend over weekend at this point, so it'll keep chugging along. Hopefully that ends up being profitable. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed it and you want more, and I'll see you next time.